You're listening to Headspin by Aslan's Place, bite-sized episodes where Dr. Paul L. Cox and Jeff Stow help you understand biblical concepts that may seem confusing but can be understood with a proper foundation.
So, Paul, last week we came to a foundational building block with everything that happens in our life of the Lord is good and his mercy endures forever. And I think as Christians, we've heard that before. We've heard that preached. We've read it in the Bible. How is this any different in how we live out life?
So we need to get very practical here. As the Lord revealed in my dream, is this really is about my thinking, uh, my continual wondering about why is life so hard, why are things not good for myself or my wife or my children, why, and then we spiral down and we question God's goodness. We are approaching everything negatively. Our thinking is contaminated. Our words are contaminated. We complain, we gripe, and we can use other words that I cannot share on this podcast about what is really going on. And the reality is that it is difficult, but we need to take a view. First of all, who is God really? Is he this God who's a giant human being in the sky, who has a giant foot and he wants to stomp out any joy or fun that I have? Is he a God who delights in the misery that I'm going through? And Jeff, if you look at people's conversation about God in the media, so either movies or televisions, and social media, uh, continually it's a negative view of God. It is not a view that says what he really is. Who is our God really?
Well, Paul, can
So,
I give you another one?
yes,
uh, that God is an absentee landlord. He just set things in motion and walked away and said, "Best of luck to you."
yes. Well, that's the deist view, isn't it? And of course, the deists were very prominent in our founding fathers. There were some that were believers, but many were deists, and they actually thought that he is the absent God, and this whole thing is miserable. But then, uh, philosophically and logically, this leads us into a whole void of despair and black hole of despair, because then there's no reason for life. There's no reason for any of this happening. And then my only out is suicide or death. Because uh, if this is true, that there's no answer, then what is the point? And our world says, well, the point is that we give life to our next generation. Well, that is true, and thank you very much. I like that happening, but that does not answer the question, which is, why are things not getting better? And the issue really is, it's about my thinking about who God is. It's very interesting, Jeff, when Moses encounters God and he is really ticked about what is happening with these people. He's tired of these people. In fact, he has a funny conversation with God. He says, well, these are your people, God. And the Lord says, no, they're your people. And no one wants these people. It's like a ping pong match. No, they're right. They're not my people, your people. No, it's your people, not my people. And and then Moses actually goes for the jugular vein of God in a sense, um, symbolically. And he says, well, show me who you are then. Who are you really? If you're not the God who's going to wipe out these people and destroy them. You're not the God who's going to rescue me from the pain of leading these people. Then what kind of God are you? And so then you know the story that he's hid in the rock, on the cleft of a rock. And it says, and the Lord said, I will show you. And the very first thing he said is, my goodness. Jeff, I looked that up in the Hebrew, and you know what it means?
What's that?
It means my financial blessing. That's the
I can.
number one definition. The number one definition. So this is the goodness of God. And then he says, I will show you my mercy, my loving kindness. And then you fast forward to the dedication of the temple, Solomon's temple, and 2 Chronicles 5. And the people are dedicating the temple to the Lord. And we are told that 120 are now there. And of course, 120 is also mentioned in Acts chapter 2. And they then start saying something. They start playing the music, and then they make a sound. They do not sing this, but they say this. They proclaim it. For he is good, and his love endures forever. So everything that happens to me that I could go off the rails and be angry about, my first thought is, he is good, and his love endures forever. And then what do I do to be able to see the reality of his goodness and his love, which then leads us to the solution?
Amazing, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you.
Headspin is hosted by Jeff Stow and produced by Aslan's Place Ministry. For more information on Aslan's Place, visit aslansplace.com.